Well, hello, I'm Josh, and I'm back once again with another great film to tell you about. And today I have a real classic for you that's currently celebrating its 100th anniversary. In fact, it's about to be 101. That film I'm talking about is Buster Keaton's 1924 comedy classic, Sherlock Jr. Sherlock Jr. follows a young theater projectionist who dreams of one day becoming a great detective, though he is currently stuck sweeping the aisles and taking out the trash in between screenings. But when he visits the home of the girl he loves, he learns that her father has been robbed, and even worse, Buster has been framed the culprit. He tries putting the sleuthing skills he has learned to use, only to turn up nothing. But when he falls asleep projecting a movie, his subconscious enters the film and he becomes the great detective of his dreams, Sherlock Jr., and begins investigating this real-life case from a new angle. So as I said, this film is directed by Buster Keaton, who was one of the big three silent comedians from the day, alongside Charlie Chaplin and Harold Lloyd. And interestingly enough, this film almost had another silent comedian as a co-director, that being Roscoe Arbuckle, a friend of Keaton's who actually gave him his first movie parts as a sort of sidekick. But after being the main suspect in a high-profile murder trial in the early 20s, Arbuckle's reputation was ruined, and even though he was acquitted, nobody in Hollywood wanted to associate with him, as the scandal had nearly caused the relatively young movie business to implode. So wanting to help out his old friend, Buster offered the job of co-director to Arbuckle, who would use the pseudonym William Goodrich. However, the scandal had changed Roscoe much more than Keaton had realized, as he was now prone to angry outbursts on set, and was no longer the warm, affable friend he once knew. Seeing this as a major problem, Keaton arranged for Arbuckle to begin work on another project while he would direct the rest of this film himself. And though he's probably best known for films like The General and Steamboat Bill Jr., Sherlock Jr. has always been my favorite of his. I guess a big part of it has to do with the fact that it combines two of my favorite things, movies and mysteries. I guess three if you add comedy. But mysteries just naturally lend themselves very well to being made into movies. And given that Buster Keaton's films are generally pretty light on plot in favor of action scenes, the mystery element is a nice addition, even though he doesn't actually do too much sleuthing in it. Along with that, the idea of watching movies all day, daydreaming you are inside of them, is just a natural thing I think all movie fans enjoy doing, so it's cool to see that this trend has been around since the beginning. In later films like Woody Allen's The Purple Rose of Cairo, and even John McTiernan's The Last Action Hero paid tribute to this film with some very similar scenes set in theaters, where the characters in the film interact with the real-world audience. But to accomplish this feat in film, Keaton used both an actual projected screen and a set which was lit to appear a little overexposed and as flat as possible, in order to give the appearance of being a 2D image. So when Buster walks in, he appears to enter the film. After that, they add a subtle cut which switches back from the stage to the actual projected film. And it's here where they start to get playful with the actual format of film, putting Buster into different situations by simply cutting to various locations, while he stays in the same place, barely given enough time to react before he's transported to the next location. And what's notable about this gag is that it's a joke you can only do on film. A number of routines and gags in movies from this period, including many of Keaton's, actually derived from vaudeville. So it's pretty cool to see moments like this where they begin to find new ways of using the medium of film to tell jokes. But once Buster essentially gets settled into this new world, the film really begins as he embodies the character of Sherlock Jr., nonchalantly dodging all of the villain's attempts to kill him while he investigates the crime. And once the chase begins, Keaton really pulls out all the stops, doing some crazy stunts which I have yet to see replicated, along with some incredibly inventive and mind-bending gags which he drew from his days in vaudeville, all building to an epic climax. But the most dangerous stunt in the movie, and the one which likely left the most lasting damage to Buster, was actually one from earlier in the film, where escaping from a moving train, he grabs onto a large water spout and holds on. The gag being that once the train is left, his weight would pull it down, emptying all of the water inside onto him and knocking him on the ground. The only problem was, Keaton did not account for the pressure releasing from the pipe, and the rush of water was so strong it instantly tore his grip loose and knocked him directly onto the rail of the train track before he had a chance to brace his fall. Somehow Buster managed to get up and finish the shot, though they wrapped shooting for that day immediately afterwards. He later recalled having incredibly painful headaches for the rest of that evening, and would periodically get them for several weeks afterwards. Now, Keaton obviously had a very high pain tolerance, but it wasn't actually till about 11 years later in 1935 when getting an x-ray, a doctor informed him that he had actually broken his neck during the incident. But aside from the incredible stunts, one of the best parts of the film within a film is that since this is actually part of the projectionist's dream, you get to see all the people he knows in the real world replace the characters in the movie. Buster, of course, becomes the great Sherlock Jr., and the local sheik who frames Buster for the crime becomes the villain. But my favorite touch that is easily overlooked is the fact that Sherlock Jr.'s Dr. Watson-like assistant named Gillette is actually played by Buster's boss in the real world, who chews him out at the beginning of the film. And to talk about the cast of this film, Buster Keaton is of course the one everyone is here for, and he does a wonderful job here. He has such a fantastic way of using his body to convey what he is thinking, while hardly moving his face at all, which in a way has aged quite well nowadays. The dramatic overacting seen in a number of other films from the period has become a major reason why people have trouble getting into silent movies, so Buster's subtle gestures end up actually feeling pretty natural. And Catherine Maguire does a great job as the girl. And an interesting element of the story that kind of gets glossed over is the fact that though Sherlock Jr. saves the day in Buster's dream, she is actually the one who solves the mystery in real life. And you can also see Buster's own father, Joe Keaton, in this film as the girl's father, who's the victim of the robbery. And you may know Buster actually got his start working with his father and mother in vaudeville from a very young age as an act called The Three Keatons. And though his father doesn't do any of his old comedy routines here, it's still really cool to see them together on film. So there you have it, Sherlock Jr., my favorite Buster Keaton film and really one of the best films of the silent era. And with a quick runtime of only 45 minutes, there's really no reason not to check out this 100-year-old classic. So if you'd like to watch the film, it's available to stream for free online pretty much anywhere, as it's now in the public domain. In fact, I even saw the whole film is embedded on the movie's Wikipedia page. That being said, as always, the quality can vary quite drastically for these public domain movies, so if you want to see the film look its best, you can get it physically on this brand new release from Kino Lorber, where it's paired with another Keaton film, 7 Chances. And each are given brand new restorations, scores, and commentary tracks, which I believe are specific to this release. And those 7 Chances seems to be the prime feature given the cover design and bonus features. For me, the highlight of this disc is still Sherlock Jr. So now for my comment question, and I am wondering, what is your favorite stunt or gag that you have seen Buster Keaton do? And if you can name the film they are from, that's great too. His gags are often pretty self-contained, lending them quite well to clip reels, social media posts, and even GIFs. So a fun part of seeing his films nowadays is being able to recognize where all these clips came from. So put your favorites in the comment section down below and start discussing. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe if you want to see some more of these. Remember to keep watching movies and I will see you again soon.